Right now, I'd like to welcome to you our for our gospel-o-meter, it's Kate Alexander and Ira Perkins who have done their best. You're sort of like, you're like a death penalty loving, tax at 1%, or that kind of guy, and Kate lives on a commune, and so we've got these two together, so it's very exciting, and they've spent ages going through all the policies of the party, so please welcome them for our gospel-o-meter.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ira.
And I'm Kate.
And we're going to present the gospel-o-meter
as we have
to
here.
you. Trademarked. So we know there are a few ways that you could choose who to vote for this September. So slogans and smiles.
This is the track record of a party or who they sort of cozy up with in a coalition.
The likelihood that they'll actually do what they say.
But another way is their policies, which is sort of what they put out there as what they claim they'll do. So tonight we're going to be your policy analysts, for better or worse. We're going to dubiously analyse each party's 3 most prominent policies on their website, looking at what policies they're leading with.
And then we're going to rank the policies based on what we think that Jesus would think. And here, no lightning bolts, that's good. Here are the criteria we'll be using.
Are the policies in line with God's priorities?
Do they put the good news, or are they good news for the poor?
Do they put the last first and free the oppressed?
Do they restore and heal relationships?
And do they enable generosity and selflessness?
Now, I'm sure you're wondering how we're going to rank them. We're going to rank them using happy Jesuses.
Or G-Psi, the Latin
So
term.
3, 2, or 1 there. Or if it's a sad Jesus, if a policy would make him cry.
We do have to give 2 disclaimers to start up. And the first is that, remember, we're analysing policies that the parties are leading with at the moment on their website.
And parties have hundreds of different policies, and we're choosing 3.
So that means that if a party comes out with a very controversial abortion policy, where no other parties have a policy on abortion, preferring to remain silent on that issue, even if that's not one of that party's main policies, we're not even going to comment on it.
And to make matters worse or better, how you see it, we're going to be doing that in 60 seconds per party per slide. So thank you, Spanky.
Cool. And second disclaimer is that for the balance in what we say, Ira has a law and economics degree and he's wearing a suit. So you can guess his voting persuasion.
This is my friend Kate. She's a vegetarian, political campaigner who cycled here even though it was raining. So you can guess how she votes.
It's time to apply our criteria. Here we go.
Labour.
Right, so they start off with a best start for children policy, $60 a week for new babies, independent children's commissioner, and a child poverty strategy. I think Jesus would really be into this policy. It's putting the last first, prioritising the vulnerable, and what a great way to do it.
I don't think Jesus would kind of like this. I've only given it 2 though, because $60 per week per baby, that's a very expensive policy, and it kind of disincentivises work, I think. Yeah, we'll go with that. Sorry. The next one, build 100,000 affordable homes, introduce standards on rentals and a capital gains tax, which means you get taxed on the profits when you sell a house.
Cool, I think it's a fantastic policy. It's predominantly the poor who really suffer in unhealthy homes. So this is sorting that out. Get capital gains as well. I think Jesus would be really into this. It's predominantly a tax that the rich will pay, and that frees up revenue to provide services the poor really need.
I think I agree with you there, Kate. However, I think Jesus wouldn't like the second one because that means that it's going to raise the price of rentals so that poor will actually be pushed out of the market. They won't have anywhere to live.
Cool. And finally, their policy, economic upgrade, a higher top tax rate, a higher minimum wage, and investment in industry and R&D. I think Jesus, again, would really love this policy. The higher top tax rate means that the rich pay their fair share, and that's providing services, again, for the poor. Higher minimum wage is actually really about freedom for the families who are working and really struggling on incomes that are simply not enough.
Look, okay, so a higher top tax rate, that's great, except that it means that all the people who are making those jobs, i.e. the rich, are not going to have as much money to do that, which means there won't be as many jobs for the poor to go around. A higher minimum wage means that it's more costly for businesses to employ people, so it means there will be less jobs, which means that there will be less jobs again for those low-skilled workers. So it kind of Anyway, better party now. National. Budget surplus, that's their focus. They're going to invest in, come on, please. Invest in infrastructure with the proceeds of asset sales, not using debt. This is a fantastic policy. 3 Jesuses, Jesus would love it. A really stable economy means there's no up and downs to knock the poor out.
Yeah, I think a stable economy is important for everyone, including, the least. I think, however, that when you focus spending, what that actually can mean is that you prioritise, and that means scrapping some services that are actually really needed.
Number 2, they're going to create a competitive economy.
Yeah, so they're going to have trade agreements such as the TPPA. They've got pathways to work, oil and gas exploration, and completing asset sales.
Not quite as good as the first one, but still 2 happy Jesuses. This is all about raising GDP or making New Zealand richer, which means that we can provide more services. The only one I'm slightly more concerned about is the oil and gas exploration, which is kind of a short-term solution, I think.
Yeah, I'm really concerned, I think, from Jesus' perspective that this is being so heavily prioritised. I think because when you grow a pie, grow the size of our economy, that does not mean that the poor necessarily get a bigger slice. And I think we should be prioritising that in other ways. I think Jesus would also be really concerned about oil and gas exploration, given that that's going to lead to climate change.
The third one, making public services more efficient. This is essentially more bang for your buck, so exactly the same amount of money, but more effect being given. So 3 happy Jesuses, all good by him.
Yeah, I think, again, same as the first one. Again, I'm just really concerned when you say make things more efficient, what's being scrapped and who makes those priorities.
Next party is... green.
The Greens, all right. Now here we get going. So they're going to have 100,000 green jobs, insulating homes, investing in renewable energy and green technology. I think this is a fantastic policy. It's not only stewardship for future generations, but it's also providing work now for people who need it and making healthier homes while we do it.
It's nice, Kate. It's nice, Kate. Jobs, tick. Renewable energy and green technology, tick. Insulating homes, that's just going to raise the price of homes, though, which means that the poor are going to, again, have nowhere to live because everything's too expensive.
Nowhere to live.
Well, less places to live. Every river clean enough to swim in is the Greens' aim. They're going to charge for irrigation, support clean-up initiatives. Kate, what do you think?
Yep, fantastic policy once again. It's stewardship for future generations, and looking after the earth God made.
I think it's kind of a skewed priority by the Greens. If you're wanting a clean river, that really only benefits the rich, not the poor. If you're going to charge for irrigation, that means the dairy farmers, which is the main thing of New Zealand, or main economic backbone of New Zealand, is going to have no money for social services. Poor lose.
Cool, and finally for the Greens, they're going to end child poverty with a universal child payment, poverty strategy, and increasing the minimum wage. Once again, fantastic that the Greens have this priority so clearly articulated, and a great way to do it.
It's a beautiful intention of ending child poverty, except they're spending money instead of saving it, and the minimum wage, you've already heard me speak about that, it's only 2. The Māori Party, they're going to focus on whānau by investing in marae's community hubs for learning, health and education. I think this is a fantastic policy, as that Māori are overrepresented in a lot of poverty statistics, and so anything that benefits them is going to benefit all of New Zealand. Jesus would be all for this. I'm just not 100% sure if that policy is actually going to work to achieve that.
I largely agree with that. They're going to continue to measure all legislation against the treaty and support those seeking treaty settlements.
I've given this a 3. I think this is all about reconciliation with Māori people, and I think that's fantastic. Jesus would be right behind it. Really good policy.
Yep, I agree. Cool. And finally, they're going to ban... Oh, no, they're not. They're going to end child poverty with a 16...
Ban child poverty. Can you imagine that? Not
Outlaw
allowed.
it.
Not allowed.
End of that. Right. So they're going to end
Not
it with
allowed.
a $16 minimum wage, insulating homes and extending the tax credit to all low-income families.
Again, great intention. Weird way to do it, though. Minimum wage, you've heard about it. It's only... Insulate homes, nowhere to live, and extending tax credit means huge dependency issues and no sort of standing on your own 2 feet.
Ending those dependency issues that Ira talks about is actually ending the discrimination of children and families of parents who are out of work.
Okay.
I think it's an essential policy.
Oh, good.
Internet mana. So this is the interesting melding of 2 parties. So in one simple party vote, you get diverse policies. See if you can pick whose are whose. So first of all, we've got reduce poverty, $15 minimum wage, free meals in schools, and abolishing GST. I think this is a pretty fair policy. I think scrapping GST, Jesus would be into that, given that it's a tax largely or predominantly shouldered by the poor. And free meals in schools, I'm a little unsure whether that's the best way we're spending our money.
Oh, no, not at all. This is not good. $15 cheaper than the Māori Party. Free meals in schools, no evidence that it works. And abolishing GST, that provides the government with a lot of money to be able to do what they need to do. And so it's ridiculous. It's one Jesus. Protecting privacy and internet freedom. Shock horror. And cheaper universal internet. Kate, what do you think?
So I'm giving this a 2. I think Jesus is into reducing the ability of the powerful to be corrupted by that power at the expense of the most vulnerable. Cheaper universal internet, ends the digital divide.
I agree. Yep, Jesus agrees, I think.
Cool. And finally, they're going to ban advertising of tobacco and alcohol and restrict advertising of unhealthy kai. I really support this policy, and I think Jesus would as well. This is looking after the health of all New Zealanders against extremely powerful companies. I
totally agree. Look, poor people, this is just like their bread and butter in a way, and I feel like this is really going to protect them. I think Jesus would be right behind it. Only thing is that tobacco and alcohol have a big tax on them, which means if you get rid of demand for that, it'll mean there's less money for the government to spend on services. Okay, time for the joke parties now. Tougher sentencing. Oh, okay, cool. Tougher sentencing, 3 strikes, then jail for burglary, forgiveness. Burglary's bad, so I'm managed to give it 1 happy Jesus, I think.
This is my first sad Jesus coming out of the bag here. I think obviously Jesus is into reducing crime because that corrupts both, obviously the criminal but also the victim. Tougher sentencing is not the way to deter crime at all, so sad Jesus here. They're going to lower the top tax bracket to 24 cents and scrap the minimum wage.
I think this is a good policy. If you lower the top tax bracket even further than that, would be better. But if you lower it, then it means the rich have more money to invest into businesses, which means more jobs for low-income earners to be able to do. And scrapping the minimum wage means that businesses can afford to employ more people. So, again, it helps that low-skill workers, so 2 Jesuses. I
give this, again, a sad Jesus. I think he would really not be into this. Scrapping the minimum wage leaves vulnerable workers open to exploitation or pay at any rate whatsoever. And lowering the top tax bracket, not only does that, it leaves more money in the hands of the rich. Will that trickle down? Will it? We're still waiting.
Okay, chill out. Okay, end dependency by limiting welfare and cracking down on benefit fraud. This, again, just allows people to stand on their own 2 feet and kind of builds in that accountability to what we've been given.
Yeah, I think getting people back into work is really important. However, when you say limiting welfare, I think Jesus would be really concerned. Does that mean that actually you're just kicking people off benefits when they really need them?
Okay, the Conservative Party now. So these are their policies. These are the leading policies. Tougher sentences for violent criminals. Life means life. Action, early action on minor crime, including restoration activities. I think Jesus would applaud the restoration activities, but in terms of him having a major theme of forgiveness, tougher sentences on violent criminals, I think that's abhorrent, so only 2.
Yeah, as I've said, I don't think that deters crime. Cool, move on to the next one. So One Nation, removing laws that differentiate based on race, return the foreshore and seabed to the Crown, end treaty claims and end the Māori seats.
I've managed to give it 1 happy Jesus because I think it is an attempt at reconciliation, which is, hey, at least they're trying. At least they're trying. Come on.
Yeah, I give this personally a sad Jesus. I just don't think it reflects our history or where we're at the moment.
The next one is to repeal the ETS and cancel the carbon tax. I don't think the emissions trading scheme was actually that amazing. That's why I've given it 1. But cancelling the carbon tax, I think, is a bit ridiculous considering it negatively affects all.
Yeah, I think this effectively looks like doing nothing about climate change, which I would imagine would be a Jesus face palm. I just don't think this is looking after our global neighbours who are going to bear the effects of the adverse effects of climate change, and the poor are obviously the ones who are unable to move and get out of the way.
Stand for something, vote Conservative.
Cool. All right, and finally we've got the Civilian Party. A strong policy to lead with. They're going to declare independence from Hamilton, sort of the dragging the nation down as a whole. So I think that even though Jesus loves even Hamilton, I think he'd like to see them standing on their own feet.
I think that Jesus is all about new starts, fresh starts. This gives Hamilton a fresh start. So 3 Jesuses, he'd love it. They're going to hold a referendum on referenda.
Yeah, I don't think Jesus would be into this, although he supports consultation, I imagine. The amount of paperwork and therefore environmental devastation caused by such a needless referendum, I think would be a sad thing for Jesus.
I've given it 2. I think that he'd like that people will be consulted.
Cool. And finally, they want to end child poverty by giving each child a poor llama as a means to a basic income.
They're giving them a poor llama?
Yeah, I think each poor child a llama. I think, yeah, again, this is fantastic that they're prioritising such an important thing for New Zealand. And again, they're actually supporting Peruvian exports as well, a developing country. So, yeah, it's a good policy all round.
Look, ending child poverty, it's a great intention, but I'm really appalled at how they're going about it. Giving a llama is ridiculous when we have a perfectly good animal like a sheep, and Jesus doesn't mention llamas in the Bible or anything like that. So there is a parable of the sheep, lost sheep, so think about it. One Jesus.
Cool. All right, so that rounds us up for tonight. Hopefully now you know who to vote for, at least know that you really need to go and do your own research. Yeah, we're just going to end with one really serious note, perhaps breaking our political neutrality here.
Yeah, so you only get one vote this September, and that vote can help or hinder other people. So I would be rolling in my grave if I was dead if you voted for them, because you can help other people using your vote. And I feel like that's who you should be thinking about when you're voting, not yourself, but helping others.
Amen.